The story of Absalom, a tragic tale of rebellion and consequences. Absalom's background. Absalom was the third son of King David, born to Maacah, the daughter of Talmai, king of Geshur, 2 Samuel 3:3. He was known for his extraordinary physical beauty. Now in all Israel, there was no one so much to be praised for his handsome appearance as Absalom. From the sole of his foot to the crown of his head, there was no blemish in him. 2 Samuel 14:25. Despite his charm and charisma, Absalom's life was marked by turmoil and rebellion. The seeds of hatred, the incident with Amnon. Absalom, the son of David, had a beautiful sister whose name was Tamar, and Amnon, the son of David, loved her. Amnon became so obsessed with his sister Tamar that he made himself sick for his sister, for she was a virgin. Amnon had an advisor named Jonadab, son of Shimeah, David's brother. Jonadab was a very shrewd man. He asked Amnon,
"Why do you, the king's son, look so downhearted morning after morning? Won't you tell me?"
Amnon said to him,
"I'm in love with Tamar, my brother Absalom's sister."
So Jonadab then created an evil and sinful scheme on behalf of Amnon to pretend to be sick in bed. So Amnon lay down and pretended to be ill. When the king came to see him, Amnon said to him,
"I would like my sister Tamar to come and make some special bread in my sight, so I may eat from her hand."
David sent word to Tamar at the palace,
"Go to the house of your brother Amnon and prepare some food for him."
So Tamar went as her father commanded, 2 Samuel 13:6-8. Later, she took him the bread, but he refused to eat.
"Send everyone out of here."
Amnon said. So everyone left him. Then Amnon said to Tamar,
"Bring the food into my bedroom so I may eat it from your hand."
And Tamar took the bread she had prepared and brought it to her brother Amnon in his bedroom. But when she took it to him to eat, he grabbed her and said,
"Come to bed with me."
"No,
she said to him,
don't do this. Such a thing should not be done in Israel. Don't do this wicked thing. What about me? Where could I get rid of my disgrace? And what about you? You would be like one of the wicked fools in Israel. Please speak to the king. He will not keep me from being married to you."
But he refused to listen. Her half-brother Amnon committed a grievous sin by assaulting Absalom's sister Tamar. 2 Samuel 13:1-14. When David heard of this, he was furious, but did nothing to punish Amnon. Absalom was deeply enraged and harbored hatred toward Amnon. For 2 years, Absalom plotted his revenge. Finally, he arranged a feast for the king's sons and commanded his servants to kill Amnon.
"Strike Amnon, then kill him. Do not fear. Have I not commanded you? Be courageous and be valiant." 2 Samuel 13:28.
After the murder, Absalom fled to Geshur, his maternal grandfather's land, and stayed there for 3 years. 2 Samuel 13:37-38. Absalom's return to Jerusalem. Eventually, through the intervention of Joab, David's military commander, Absalom was allowed to return to Jerusalem. However, David refused to see him for 2 years. But the king said,
"Let him dwell apart in his own house. He is not to come into my presence." 2 Samuel 14:24.
After 2 years, Absalom demanded an audience with David and reconciled with him. David kissed Absalom, but tensions lingered. 2 Samuel 14:33. Absalom's rebellion. Absalom's ambition grew, and he began to undermine his father's authority. He stationed himself at the city gate and won the hearts of the people by presenting himself as a more approachable leader.
"Oh, that I were judge in the land. Then every man with a dispute or cause might come to me, and I would give him justice." 2 Samuel 15:4.
Over time, Absalom gained a following. After 4 years, he declared himself king in Hebron. Then Absalom sent secret messengers throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying,
"As soon as you hear the sound of the trumpet, then say, 'Absalom is king at Hebron.'" 2 Samuel 15:10.
When David learned of the rebellion, he fled Jerusalem with his loyal followers, weeping as they crossed the Kidron Valley. 2 Samuel 15:23-30. The battle between father and son. David's forces, led by Joab, prepared to fight Absalom's army. Despite the rebellion, David still loved his son deeply. He instructed his commanders,
"Deal gently for my sake with the young man Absalom." 2 Samuel 18:5.
In the ensuing battle in the forest of Ephraim, David's army defeated Absalom's forces. As Absalom fled on a mule, his hair became entangled in the branches of a large oak tree. And his head caught fast in the oak, and he was suspended in midair, dangling from a large oak, while the mule that was under him went on. And a certain man saw it, and told Joab, and said,
"Behold, I saw Absalom hanging in an oak tree."
Joab said to the man who told him this,
"What? You saw him? Why didn't you strike him to the ground right there? Then I would have given you 10 shekels of silver and a warrior's belt."
But the man replied,
"Even if 1,000 shekels were weighed out into my hands, I would not lay a hand on the king's son. In our hearing the king commanded you, Abishai and Ittai, protect the young man Absalom for my sake. And if I had put my life in jeopardy and nothing is hidden from the king, you would have kept your distance from me." 2 Samuel 18:9-13.
Joab, ignoring David's command, struck Absalom with 3 javelins, and his armor-bearers finished him off. 2 Samuel 18:14-15. When news of Absalom's death reached David, his grief was overwhelming. He wept bitterly, crying out, "O my son Absalom, my son Absalom! Would I had died instead of you, O Absalom, my son, my son!" 2 Samuel 18:33. David's mourning was so intense that it discouraged his troops, who had risked their lives to secure his victory. Joab eventually rebuked David, urging him to show appreciation for his loyal supporters, saying,
"Now go out and encourage your men. I swear by the Lord that if you don't go out, not a man will be left with you by nightfall. This will be worse for you than all the calamities that have come on you from your youth till now." 2 Samuel 19:1-8.
The consequences of unresolved sin. David's failure to address Amnon's crime created a rift within his family. His passivity allowed resentment to fester, ultimately leading to Absalom's rebellion. This highlights the importance of confronting sin and seeking justice, the dangers of pride and ambition. Absalom's charisma and beauty won him the admiration of the people, but his unchecked ambition and pride led to his downfall. Proverbs 16:18 reminds us, "Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall." The depth of a father's love. Despite Absalom's betrayal, David's grief reveals the unconditional love of a father. His cry,
"Would I had died instead of you,"
echoes the sacrificial love God has for his children, God's sovereignty. Throughout the story, God's plan prevails despite human sin and rebellion. Absalom's rebellion was ultimately a fulfillment of Nathan's prophecy that turmoil would arise from David's household due to his sin with Bathsheba, 2 Samuel 12:10-12. Absalom's life is a cautionary story of ambition, rebellion, and family conflict, but it also reveals the enduring themes of love, forgiveness, and God's sovereignty. His story reminds us of the consequences of sin, but also points to the hope of reconciliation and the importance of addressing wrongs within our relationships. As this story comes to an end, if you would like a much more detailed version of the story of Absalom and King David during this period in the Bible, the journey will be an amazing one. Much more than you could ever imagine. You can find it in the book of 2 Samuel chapters 13-19. So if you find yourself enjoying more positive and uplifting content like this, please like and subscribe to Unrecounted Biblical Stories. Thank you for watching.